Hey, so mates, welcome to another online premium free tutorial. Okay, so in this today's tutorial, we are going to explore this style, or rather, should I say, we are going to make this style together. So let's get into it. To start with, you all know we have to start with a basic bodies, a standard basic bodies actually. Then you get the radius of your breast distance, then you use it to form a circle just like this. So once you do that, you can just label the under bust, waistline, and hip line, just like what I'm doing right now. The next thing you have to do is to do your get the neck depth, meaning the depth of your neckline. You get it and mark it. Once you mark it, just like that. Then you get to measure the width, which shouldn't be more than half inch or maximum of 3/4 inches. Okay, so that should be the width of that middle panel, because of course we all know that we are making a corset. All right, so after that, you do your underbust tightening. We should all know that the underbust tightening should not be that much actually, because of this type of corset I will be teaching you in this particular class. Okay, so the tightening should not be that exaggerated, at least maximum of 1 inch, regardless of how big the person is. Okay, then from that point, from that neckline depth you mark initially, then you move up by at least 1 inch and then connect it to the
After
first
connecting
dart
it to the
leg.
first dart leg like that, then you from the bust point you come down by at least 1 inch tightening. Then from the bust actual bust point, then you connect that tightening to that above the bust point line. Like let me come back again. At that bust point line, at that exact bust point, okay, you move up by at least half inch, maximum of 3/4 inch. So, I asked you to do about 1 inch of tightening right there. So you connect that tightening towards that half inch, you move up above. So at the side front, you have to come out of the circle you have there initially, just the way I'm doing right now. Then you move up by 2 inches rather, okay, just the way I'm doing. Then you connect it to the neckline just to form the upper neckline. The neckline depends on whatever you want, okay. So that is that about that. Then the next thing you have to do is to connect it just like that to the upper line over there. Then you label your cups. Once you do that, then you transfer the shoulder dart to the side dart at this point, at least for now. So I'll be doing that now. On a normal day, when making the corset, you're supposed to do an overburst tightening, but you don't have to do that in this case because you don't want the upper bust to be tight at all, like at all. We don't want it to be tight because it has some kind of lapses on the overburst. So we want it to kind of relax and open up a little bit because we don't want it to be firm according to the style we're trying to replicate. The next thing you have to do is just to um probably try to cover up the side that you bust that you did right now, which is what I'm doing at the moment. The next thing you have to do is to um reshape your armhole line. You can see that it has extend outward. Okay, of course you have to drop down the armhole. You can see the way I do it. So it wasn't on the initial armhole line, so I had to come out because I need that excess on that overburst area. Okay, so you need to do all this. Come down at the initial armhole at least by half inch. Then you shape the new armhole just the way I'm doing. So of course it has to affect. It will definitely affect the side front. You can see. So we have a little bit of lapses there, and of course our new armhole, our armhole has changed at this point. You can see what we have right now. So at this point, you can just keep your yoke if you want it, probably later on, or if you want a yoke for this style, it's your choice. Okay. Once you're done with that, the next thing you have to do now is to extend your underbust tightening to the blouse length. The top length is kind of longer. Yes, it's about at least 4 or 5 inches longer than the waist line. Then you extended that length to that point. It depends on the amount of width you want. So if I want to guess, it should not be more than maximum of 4 inches. At least 3 inches is fine. So you connect it right there. Okay, and also you can make use of 2 inches. It depends on what you want. Then you label the center front as center front and side front as side front to reduce the confusion in future.
Okay, so
Okay, so
then
that is basically
after
it.
labeling all your patterns, the next thing you have to do is to probably trace it out. Okay, so then you roll the second dart leg from the underbust to the initial waistline, just like this. Okay, so this is what you have to do at this point. The next thing you have to do is to cut out your pattern piece, at least the cups part of the pattern, just like this. This is the upper cup. Then you can just label it as bra top, right? So in case you misplaced it, you will know that okay, this is what it was. Then you cut the down center front of the down bra cup, bra bottom actually. So this is it. Then you cut the remaining ones, which is what I'm doing right now. Take your time because we are not cutting the whole pattern here. Then at this side front, you have to close it just like this as well. So that's basically it. I have to secure it down with my tape. So I'll have to secure that other part down again.
The
So
next
at
thing we
this
have to
point,
do is to trace how the upper bodies, which is the top, the whole bodies of the upper part. You have to trace it out on another paper. So at this point, I was reeling the top length. Okay, so I want to trace it out on another paper now because I need it separately.
after tracing it out just like this, you label it and rule the amount of that lines you want. If you want to separate them, fine. If you don't want to separate them, then you're good to go. It is best not to separate them actually to reduce the amount of pieces of panels you'll be joining. So just I just ruled that one to show you that okay, that should be the amount of that panels you should be having.
I had to
Okay.
just cut
So
out the
at this
unwanted
point,
part of the pattern out, which is the dart channel area. So, and I gum it back to make it looks like one piece because those are the pattern I need on the upper part. At this point, the next thing you have to do is just to add some extra pattern back to the side seam just to complete the pattern the way it's supposed to be in case your measurements are missing. Okay, so this is why you need to do this. So at this point, then if you need to do some kind of tightening at this stage, then please do it. Okay, it is very important to do it at this stage. If you have to do some kind of extra um waist snatching, so which is why I did this. I added the extra flesh to the side of the two patterns. You know we have two front pattern now. So the next thing I am doing right now is to elongate the length of my front skirt. Of course, we know it is a long skirt, right? Then you make it you turn it to an hairline skirt. And of course, you know you have to do your knee tightening. Just do your knee tightening. The next thing you have to do is to get the curve for the slits of the front. Just the way I'm doing right now. It's all start from probably about 2 inch above or 3 inch below the knee hip length. Okay, so that is basically what your front pattern should looks like. All right. The next thing you have to do is to rule as many slash lines as possible according to the shapes of slash lines you should be having on the dress. You can see what we have here. So you and before you cut out all these slash lines, you have to label it with your numbers. So by the time you are trying to do the slash and squared part, by the time you are doing trying to add the fullness to it, you won't be convinced. It won't be confused. Okay, so and also start with the edge of the paper so that everything will align. It won't look as if maybe it is bent or something because everything has to align. You can see that I'm trying to align everything together, making sure I'm getting what I'm doing rightly. Okay. So please take note of this. You can say I'm trying to make sure I'm getting everything so I won't be mistaken at all. You can say that, and you can say that the edge of all these things are equal. So please take note of all these things before you add all the fullness to your pattern. These are very important, and this stage is very sensitive. Though it looks fun, but then you have to be very sensitive about it. And one thing I forgot to do is that at that number 6 and 7, I'm supposed to um extend its font a little bit, although this is still okay, but I'm supposed to extend it a little bit to the front so that I can have more fullness, much more than this. But it all depends on the amount of extra fullness you had to your pattern when doing this slash and spread procedure. Okay, so once you are done with the alignment of all the pieces, the next thing is just for you to pleat it together just like this before you cut out the side seam. You can see the way I'm doing it. So I had to pleat it first before cutting out the side seam, and here we go. Then same thing applies to the center as well. You can see what I did, and that's it. And this is what your front pattern should looks like. So let's move on to the back pattern. The first thing you have to do is to align the side center, the side seam of the back with the side seam of the front, just to get the exact same length. You know it has to be the same thing, right? So you have to do that and label the side center front, side back and center back. Then you get the neckline of the back, the front, the middle for the snatching of the middle like that, because of course it's a corset. It has to have all this modesty panel, and the lacing at the back should be there. Okay, which is why I deducted that midpoint on the upper part of the back bodice. Okay, the next thing I did is to trace out the corset part, meaning the top part of the back bodice. I trace it out on another paper just like this. Can you see what I did here? So that is all you have to do, and just make sure you label your pattern side back and center back, the upper part as the upper and the lower part as the down part. Then if you want to do the snatching, just do the snatching according to what you want. Indicate your seam allowances in case you are not adding your seam allowances to your pattern after you're done drafting. And that's basically it. Now let's move on to the upper to the back bodies of our pattern. The next thing you have to do is to um alter your alter your skirt to a mermaid skirt, because the back is kind of fuller than the front, not just a regular mermaid. Okay, then the next thing you have to do is to align the length. Make sure the length, especially the side seam, the length is equal with the back length. You can see the way I did my own as well. Then you first of all make it an A-line skirt before you now reshape the length, elongate the length, making it longer than you're supposed to, making it longer than the front. You can see the way I did it. So I made it longer, reshape it, do the underbust, do the butt crack tightening. And yes, I had to slit the middle because I need small fullness on the front, on the back rather. Then I slit it all the way to the center back. You can see what I did here to get my to get more fullness at this back. You can see I added more fullness to it because I needed it to be much more fuller than the front, like very, very fuller, as you can see. So this is the result of our back mermaid skirt. And here we go. You need to see how full the back of this skirt looks like. It is really, really full. And here I had to add my allowance to the upper bodies, as you can see. Then this is the skirt part, this is the skirt of the front and the back, and that is it. At this point I've cut it out, and realized that I needed more extension, like more excess on the skirt part, because I needed it to be I needed the gathers to be more fuller, which is why I extended it that much. Okay, so at this point I'm trying to join the cups. I just had to show you a little bit of the clips on the sewing procedure. So I join the cups, press it properly to give me the cup effect I needed. You can see what we have. It is looking so beautiful. I just wish the miniature has more flesh on the body so it can bring out the beauty of this cups and this style, but it's fine. We move. So yes, you need to do a little bit of caging on the on the cup even if it's just the simplest caging on the cup, you need to do it, please. Then, as for the bone channel, the best technique to use for for this bone channel is to sew. Just get a strip of fabric, sew it on one side, just like this. Then cut out the excess. You can see the way I'm doing it. Then encase the boning into the bone channel you sew just now. It has to be the size of the bone in place. Then you press it down on the both sides, and that's it. You're good to go. The next thing is just for you to continue the remaining ones and press it. Then at this point, I'm trying to do the draping on the cup. So you do the draping on the cup properly and then sew it down. You absolutely have nothing to worry about on this part. It is very, very simple to make. Actually, this style is very, very simple. The only sensitive part of the style is just the corset part of it. Yes, that is just a s- um complicated or complex part of it. Then that is it. This is the font. You know, the font has to be in two pieces. You lay it on each other like that to give you that four corner shape, right? This is the corset I was making. The only difference this corset has from the original style we're replicating is that the bone channels are not as much as the one. But of course, you all understand the reason why it wasn't like that. So for you, if you can try to pin it down, then good. If you can't, then just do what you have to do and sew the draping on it. This is the sleeve. Of course, you know how to cut the sleeve, and this is what the result looks like. So I really hope you all enjoy this tutorial. If you have any question, kindly drop the question on the in the comment section. I would gladly reply you. Even if I had to make another simple video to explain or elaborate more on any part you don't understand, trust me, I will do that. Okay, so that's it. Bye.